As you all know, sadly, today we're here to discuss an incident that occurred on August the 10th of this year. Again, on that date, officers responded to the 6900 block of Forest Terrace for the shooting that had occurred at that location. Upon their arrival, officers quickly searched the residence and discovered that a child had been shot inside the residence. That child succumbed to her injuries of gunshot and passed away. She was deceased. We now know that child to be Knijah Bibb. Officers and investigators responded there, as we know, and were able to quickly determine that it was a direct result of a cowardly and violent act of a suspect firing indiscriminately into that residence. Directly through the assistance of the community at large, and through the dedication and hard work of the investigators and officers at that scene, that suspect was later identified to be Davon Wallace. It was through community outreach, through witness interviews, evidence collection, detectives were able to identify, as I've said, our suspect and subsequently arrive at a level to establish probable cause and charge Mr. Wallace with first and second degree murder. Mr. Wallace has been avoiding our custody since that period of time. Now, as we all know, we in the police department, as well as members of the community, are very outraged at the random and the indiscriminate violence that occurred that led to Knijah's death. Today, being the day that Knijah is being laid to rest, we are reminding the community that we are dedicated to this case, that we will utilize every available resource to the police department to apprehend Mr. Wallace. However, we also find it or believe that we will likely arrive at that conclusion only and directly resulting from assistance obtained from the community at large, who I'm sure feels the same sense of outrage. Lastly, for any persons that may be offering Mr. Wallace assistance to avoid our apprehension by the police department, to avoid obtaining justice for Knijah, our investigators at the conclusion of this case will evaluate any assistance offered to Mr. Wallace, and as appropriate, those persons will be charged criminally. As it stands today, Mr. Wallace is still outside our custody. We are coordinating with members of our homicide unit and our fugitive group to apprehend Mr. Wallace. We encourage and we seek the assistance of the community at large to bring this matter to an end. And those persons that are offering Mr. Wallace a place to sleep, monies to flee, a ride to leave the area, you will be subjected as appropriate to criminal charges where the elements of those crimes are met. Does anybody have any questions?
How much help do you think he's getting?
We've received indications during the course of the investigations that there are persons, as hard as it might be to believe, persons that are sympathetic with Mr. Wallace. We haven't received information specifically what type of help he's getting.
So do you believe he's still in this general area?
The indication is that he is still in the general area. We've received no indication to suggest that he's left the state or the local area at all. No.
Are you concerned about him having access to weapons? I think we recovered the weapon in this case, but can you share some?
It's my understanding that we have not recovered the weapon in this case. So obviously, he has access to weapons. Whether he still has the murder weapon is anyone's guess.
Can you tell us about his background?
It's my understanding he did not have much of one. No.
Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember this. I'd be guessing at this point. I'm not going to do that.
10 days after this happened, are you still getting many tips from the public, or is this about the tips you've been getting sort of dried up and trying to reclaim public help?
Well, yes, on 2 points. One, when the case first came up, we received a fair amount of assistance from the community. Many persons expressed outrage and heartache. To that end, more than a few persons reached out to the police department and aided us. Okay, We hope to reinvigorate that emotion today. And just as a reminder, today we are laying her, as a community, not just a family, all of us are laying her down to rest. It's a very sad case. The most secure place one might feel for those of us that have children would be in a home or in your home. For this type of violence to occur, resulting in a violent death, shooting of all things, to a 3-year-old child inside of a residence is very alarming and disappointing.
Do you feel like there was a moment where you all were close to him, where you thought you were going to be able to apprehend him, or has it been that he's been out of your reach this entire time?
There was a point in time when we thought we might have him in custody. We had been in communication with his attorney, but that has fallen through.
Can you tell us about that?
I wasn't obviously privy to conversations with the attorney directly, so no, other than to say that initially arrangements were being made to bring him into our custody, but again, that has fallen through.
Is there a jurisdictional thing here? Is he jumping across into D.C., maybe Virginia? I don't know. Is there jurisdictional issues here?
Jurisdictional as far as what? As far as it being a challenge for us to locate him? Is that what you mean?
Is he moving from jurisdiction to jurisdiction to avoid capture?
That would be a reasonable assumption, but nothing that I can elaborate on or comment.
What do you think is the greatest difficulty now in trying to track him down?
Frankly, we haven't received that one call that someone at the community can give us, which is what we hope to accomplish by having this stand up here.
After the attorney, are you still in contact with him, or is he saying I just don't know where he is now?
I'm not gonna get into what the communication has been with the attorney, other than to say initially we were hopeful that through his attorney he would turn himself in. It hasn't happened, and at this point he is a fugitive as far as we're concerned.
Is this an attorney from a previous case?
I don't know.
Contact for this case?
It's the attorney that I believe we've been dealing with at that point had been handling matters for this criminal incident. Now I don't know if he has any other criminal charges pending, but if that's what you're going to. Right.
Could you talk a little bit about his ties to his community? And then, you've elaborated. You said, we frankly think he's had help. Tell us about his ties to the community here.
Well, I don't. As again, I know the issue was raised about him having a criminal history. I don't know that he has very much of one. I've been led to believe that he hasn't. Outside of his relationship with the persons at that residence where this incident occurred, I couldn't sit here and comment on what how much he's been contributing to society or what his role has been for the most part. Yeah.
Can you reiterate the reward possibilities for folks who cooperate?
Oh, sure. There's pretty much for any homicide, any death is a tragedy in this county where it comes to where it's a homicide and it's a result of violence or of sort. There is a $25,000 reward for information leading to the apprehension conviction of persons responsible for murders in Prince George's County.
If you have to guess, would you say it's family or friends helping him?
Well, we presume that, of course, and as anyone would, family members might offer assistance, but I'm not going to get into who we believe is helping him. Okay. Unless anybody has anything else, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.